Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Jason White. This is Jason's Weird Reads, and today I'm doing a tag video. I don't really do tag videos very much anymore because I generally like to keep my filming time down to, or I like to keep it basically within the all the other videos that I got to do. I kind of miss doing tag videos though, but I was tagged by Dane from Dane Reads to do the local haunts book tag, and that is of course in reference to this little book here that came out October the 1st, Local Haunts. And of course I have a story in here, so does Dane. There's a lot of people in here, and I thought I'd start this video outside because in my backyard, yes, I have a barn that's almost like a garage. Well, it was converted into a garage, but now it's just for storage. Anyways, yes, that's in my backyard. We also have a fire pit that's over there. I think we'll be using it tonight, actually. Anyways, so moving on with the tag. The first question is, local haunts, tell us about a creepy or spooky place that's close to you. And for me, and that's the reason why I'm outside here, is that while growing up, I used to have a neighbor that lived just over there. And it's not that house anymore. That's my house. That's the neighbor's house. The house is very different now. It used to be blue, and it wasn't quite so shapely. It was just kind of like a square, a big blue square. And there was an old man who lived in there, and he never came out, and he scared me. He ended up dying in that house with a house fire. I remember that day very well. I was just a kid, but I remember the smoke just billowing out of the windows, and the fire. The fire trucks came and they put it out, and he was found inside. Of course, like I said, he never came out. I'm pretty sure, though I could be wrong about this, that he was an alcoholic and fell asleep with a cigarette going. So that was unfortunate. But because he lived there and we never seen him, he scared me. There's just something odd about that when I was a kid. And that's pretty much the basis of this story. Is like a Boo Radley type character, the guy who never comes out, and you're always curious about what exactly is on the inside. And there's another story to this. When I was a kid, again after the fire too, there was a bird that had its head stuck right in the roof, or the eavesdrop joins to the outer wall. There's a crack there, and it was a pretty big crack, and this bird had its head stuck in there. And I wanted to rescue it, but I couldn't. And everyone I told said there was nothing they could do about it. And so basically I went there every day until it succumbed. I basically watched this bird die over a period of 2 or 3 days. And that's something that stuck with me too, because like I said, I wanted to rescue that bird. I wanted to help it, but I couldn't. Nothing I tried to do would get it unstuck. And so that it's kind of small thing, I guess, but it haunts me even to this day. It's very strange. But that's my answer for book or question number 1. Might as well move on to the other questions here since I'm out here. Question number 2. A stone's throw. Tell us about a story with a young female character who has a tough life. And I went with Mercedes Yardley's Pretty Little Dead Girls, a novel of murder and whimsy. And this, pretty much that title tells you exactly what this book is about. It's kind of a horror fantasy, and it's about a girl who is born with the destiny she's going to be murdered. That's my son there, Keenan. Hey Keenan, say hi.
Hi.
So yeah, she's born with the destiny to be murdered, and I've called it cartoonish before, but I don't mean that as the insult it probably sounds like. I very much picture, if it was to be adapted into a film, like a sort of like a Tim Burton-esque type film. And so definitely that's my answer for that one. This is my dog, Bosco. Hey, Bosco. Bosco. Hey. Doesn't like being on camera for some reason. He used to. Hey, Boo. That's my Boo Bear. Alright, so moving on to question number 3. Crowthorn. Tell us about a story with a harmful friendship. And I went with Dead Sea by Tim Curran because it's about a boat that goes through the Bermuda Triangle, and they basically pass into a different dimension full of monsters, sea monsters. And I love that story. I want to reread it, and there's actually another book set in that universe that I want to read. It's very awesome in Tim Curran's style of creating fantastic monsters. And let me tell you, when the shit hits the fan, all the friends turn very toxic towards each other, and there's a lot of arguing as to what they should do next. And it's not the central part of the story, but Tim Curran is really good at creating tension between characters, and that's an excellent example of that. Alright, moving on to question number 4. Screen 8. Tell us about a movie that scares you that's based on a true story. And although I haven't read the book, there is a book. There is a book too. I haven't read the book yet, but the movie, just the idea of it existing or even being real is terrifying, and that's the Amityville Horror. Yes, the Amityville Horror is definitely the movie itself isn't scary. It's just the idea. If it was real, it would be terrifying. And I don't think it is real. It's just the idea of it being real. All right, so got a fire started here in the back pit. I was thinking of maybe doing a From the Hip episode. Will I enjoy? Well, dinner is cooking on the inside. The fire's cooking on the outside. Question number 5. The Mount of Death. Beer me. Tell us a story where drink plays a role in the plot. I went with The Shining by Stephen King, the book, not the movie. Although the movie is good, I don't hate the movie, but it is a different beast than the book. There's more characterization in the novel, and I think that's the reason why Stephen King himself hates the adaptation, because the movie paints Jack Torrance as, well, he's pretty much an asshole from the beginning. But if you don't know what The Shining's about, it's about a recovering alcoholic who's haunted by his alcoholism and the want to drink, but he can't drink because he tends to make stupid, sometimes physically abusive mistakes while he's drunk. Like, for example, he hurt his son when his son accidentally spilt his drink all over a play that he was writing. And he didn't hit his kid, but what he did was grab him by the arm, and he accidentally broke it when he did that. And so that haunts him. And when they get to the hotel, there's ghosts, and actually you don't really know what's going on. Maybe he just goes insane. But, I think his alcoholism and his weakness towards that type of thing is really what pulls the plot forward. And it's one of my favorites by King. And if you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. It's a classic, a modern classic. Question 6, The Blocked Cellar. Tell us about your favorite horror, paranormal, or true crime YouTube channel. And I don't really have a favorite because, I have trouble believing in ghost hunters and all that stuff. I think a lot of the stuff they do on there is just fabricated. I could be wrong. I'm not saying it is. I'm very much a skeptic. I'm an agnostic almost through and through. I need actual science, and I would need to be there. And even if we did have some factual evidence to a ghostly appearance, I still would probably doubt it. But that's just me. And so, in true crime thing, it's not really my thing. The only time I'll get interested in true crime is if maybe just on one case I'll become obsessed with for a little bit, and I'll like look into it and watch a whole bunch of different YouTube videos on that, but I don't really stick to anything. Question 7. The Night Watchman. Tell us a story that's set partly at night. And I went with an old favorite of mine, though I haven't read it in a long time, and the last time I did try to reread it, I couldn't get into it. I hated it, but I loved it when I was a kid, and that's Dragon Tears by Dane Koontz. This is a story about, I believe it's about a detective, and there's a monster, and the whole story takes place throughout the entire night, and Dane Koontz was pretty famous for doing that, and I kind of enjoyed his stories for that. Question 8. Alone Along the Gum Trees. Tell us a story that takes place in the wilderness. I went with The Terror by Dan Simmons, because even though they're in ships, they get stuck at sea when it freezes over. They're in the Arctic, and they're looking for the Northwest Passage, and so basically they're outdoors a lot, and it's a terrible landscape that they're stuck in, and I believe they're stuck in there for 2 years before, all the terrible, before the final, there's a spoiler here, before they're all dead. So it's the Franklin expedition. It's a pretty fascinating story itself, because their ships disappeared, they disappeared. There were some remnants found of them before they got stuck, and then after they got stuck. So some of them survived, but they didn't survive for long. And I think there was some cannibalism. The novel itself, though, The Terror, is pretty awesome. And question number 9, Highway to Hell. Tell us about a story that involves music. And I'm going with The Final Reconciliation by Todd Kiesling. This is basically a story about a band that where one of the members sort of falls in love with a woman who's not necessarily of our dimension, and she wreaks havoc not only within the band, but she makes them create an album that has some specialness to it, and it's the only album they ever create, I believe. And there's some heavy the King in Yellow, or the Yellow King vibes going on. There's definitely based on a lot of that mythology. I highly recommend it. It's been a few years since I read it, and it's very short. You could probably read it in one sitting, and it's very entertaining. So using that for my answer, and I also recommend it. And finally, question 10, At the End of the Rope. Tag some Booktube or HorrorTube friends. And so I'm going to tag Josh from Working Man's Reads, John from Books of Blood, Dan from Book Nook Noggin, and Mindy from Mindy's Book Journey. Alright, that's my answer to this tag. Thanks, Dane, for tagging me. And if I didn't tag you, but you think this is a pretty cool tag, feel free to do the tag yourself. And keep being safe, keep being creative, and I'll catch you guys in the next bookish video.